So there's this horror novel on the horizon for September 2025 that is already making some serious waves. It's called Bad Things Happened in This Room by Marie Still, and believe me, the pre-release buzz is absolutely deafening.
I mean, get this. It's already sitting at a 4.46 out of 5 on Goodreads based on more than 100 early reviews. That is some major pre-publication hype. But you know how it is. With hype that big, the question is always the same. Can it actually live up to it?
And that question really gets to the heart of what we're digging into today. Based on a really deep dive review, we're going to look at both sides. Is this thing a genuine masterpiece of psychological horror? Or is it maybe just a bloated, manipulative mess? To figure that out, we've got to get into the story first.
All right, so let's step inside what the review calls a fever dream. The plot is broken down into 5 pretty distinct acts, and it follows the complete and total unraveling of our narrator, a woman named Willow Hawthorne.
So here's how it all goes down. It starts with Willow stuck in this time loop, trapped in her childhood home. Her husband, Liam, is acting super strange, and even the house itself feels, well, alive and evil. Then, this little girl named Sarah shows up and offers a glimmer of hope. But just as quickly, Sarah disappears, and that's when Willow's reality just completely shatters, leading to a huge, devastating reveal about why she's so obsessed with her garden.
Now, to really get what's happening, you have to meet the key players. And remember, we're seeing all of this through Willow's very unreliable eyes. So you've got Willow, who we find out is a grieving mother in the grips of psychosis. Her husband, Liam, is he a caring husband or a captor? It's hard to tell. Then there's Sarah, a symbol of hope who turns out to be a hallucination. And finally, the house and the garden, which are basically characters themselves.
Okay, so everything we've just talked about, the time loops, the creepy characters, the whole haunting, it all gets turned on its head by one massive twist that the entire story is built around.
And here it is, plain and simple. The house isn't haunted. All that stuff, the malevolent wallpaper, the creepy whispers, that ghostly feeling, it's not supernatural. Nope. The horror is coming from somewhere else entirely.
So if it's not a ghost, what is it? Well, the review explains that Willow is suffering from severe postpartum psychosis. It's a very real condition that can cause intense delusions and hallucinations, and it was triggered by profound loss. So suddenly it all clicks into place. The haunting is internal. Sarah is a manifestation of her lost daughter, and that garden, it's a literal graveyard. This one reveal just reframes the entire story.
But, and this is a big but, this is where the review really turns. Because despite this incredibly powerful and tragic premise, the reviewer argues that the novel just completely fails in its execution. They lay out 6 key reasons why this book, for all its hype, just falls apart.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the critique. First up, the review claims the repetition, which is supposed to make you feel like you're in Willow's head, just ends up being torturous and kills all the story's momentum. Next, they say the big psychiatric twist is actually pretty predictable if you've read a lot in this genre. Then there's the accusation that the book uses trauma not to explore it, but just to manipulate the reader's emotions. The writing style is also criticized as being so poetic and overwrought that it actually makes it hard to tell what's going on. The book also invites a comparison to a famous literary classic, which apparently backfires badly. We'll get to that in a sec. And finally, the ending is described not as thought-provoking, but as a total cop-out.
Let's zoom in on that comparison because it's a big one. The book apparently positions itself as a modern successor to Charlotte Perkins Gilman's classic short story, The Yellow Wallpaper. But the review says that this is a huge mistake. See, Gilman's story is a masterpiece because it's short and sharp, a devastating 6,000-word punch to the gut. This novel tries to stretch that same idea over 300 pages, and the argument is that the impact is just totally watered down by the repetition. The review even ends with this zinger. There's a reason The Yellow Wallpaper is the length it is. This book is the reason. Ouch.
So where does that leave us? When you put the ambitious idea on one side of the scale and all those critical failures on the other, well, the review's final verdict is pretty scathing. Not just on the book's artistic merit, but on its ethical merits too.
And this quote right here, it really just sums up the whole argument. The reviewer flat out calls the book trauma porn. The accusation is that this isn't a sensitive exploration of grief. It's a book designed to exploit real-world suffering just to shock and devastate the reader, without actually earning any real emotional connection.
Which brings us to this final, really important question. This book, and the whole debate swirling around it, it forces us to ask, where's the line? In fiction, when does an authentic, honest exploration of trauma cross over into just cynically exploiting it? It's definitely something we're thinking about, long after you've closed the book.